Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, to really understand the sheer game-changing power of feature flags, I want to set a little scene for us. Picture this. You're in a grand Victorian library studio right in the heart of London. It's one of those hushed, reverent places where code quality isn't just some vanity metric you track, it is the unspoken objective. Craftsmanship is absolutely everything here. And working in this library, we've got two engineers. There's Timothy, a junior colleague who has basically spent the last years scaling an impossibly steep learning curve. And then there's Margaret, his deeply experienced senior counterpart. Today, we're taking a look at Timothy's 75th architectural evolution. And right now, well, he is staring at his calendar, looking utterly defeated.
Okay, let's dive into this. Why on earth is Timothy so stressed out? Well, the marketing team just dropped a bomb. They scheduled the launch of this massive, highly anticipated AI recommendation engine. They want it live for premium users next Tuesday at exactly 9 a.m., and then they want it rolled out to everybody else on Thursday at noon. Oh, and get this, if customer support gets overwhelmed at literally any point, they expect Timothy to just immediately turn it off. So Timothy is absolutely dreading sitting at his desk at 8:55 a.m., frantically pushing code through their CI/CD pipeline, practically praying that the Canary deployment finishes on time, and just bracing himself for a chaotic emergency rollback if things blow up, hence his quote right here, "I am turning into a human switchboard."
So Margaret sees this sheer panic setting in, and she decides it's time for a major paradigm shift. She asks a question that completely, fundamentally changes how we think about getting software to users. What if you could deploy major features without ever launching them? Just think about that for a second. What if all the technical heavy lifting was completely finished, done and dusted, days before the business team actually announced the new feature to the world?
Section 1. Deployment versus release, a DevOps philosophy. So the crucial point here is that Timothy is completely conflating two very different things. On the technical side, deploying code is really just the act of moving it into a production environment. Releasing a feature, on the other hand, is a business event. It's the actual act of exposing that shiny new code to your end users. Conflating these two events is exactly what causes that dreaded launch day stress. Margaret's golden rule is simple. Deployment and release should absolutely never happen at the exact same time.
To pull off this separation, Margaret introduces the magical mechanism that makes it all work. Feature flags, or, sometimes they're called feature toggles. This is a software technique allowing your team to turn specific features on or off at runtime. And the best part? You completely bypass the need to modify or deploy any new code. Typically, these are implemented as incredibly simple conditional logic. We're talking basic if-else statements that just reference a centralized configuration store to check if a feature should be flipped on.
Section 2. The Dark Launch Strategy, Deploying Dormant Code.
So Margaret instructs Timothy to do something that honestly feels totally counterintuitive to a junior engineer. She tells him to deploy the AI recommendation engine today, a full week early. But here's the catch. He's going to use what's known as a dark launch. He's going to deploy the new feature into the live production environment, but with its feature flag set to false. That code is just going to sit there, completely dormant, hidden safely behind a logical toggle, totally neutralizing the risk of a chaotic Big Bang release on Tuesday morning.
Let's actually walk through this new, totally stress-free timeline. Step 1. Today, Timothy deploys the dormant code. It's totally safe because remember, the toggle is off. His engineering work is effectively done. Step 2. Tuesday at 8:59 a.m., a member of the marketing team logs into the system. Step 3. Tuesday at exactly 9 a.m., the feature goes live. Now notice who isn't frantically pushing code and sweating bullets on Tuesday morning? Timothy.
Section 3. AWS AppConfig, the dynamic advantage.
Now, Margaret points out a really crucial architectural decision here. They already use AWS Systems Manager Parameter Store, right? But Parameter Store is really meant for static infrastructure data and secrets. For a true master switch, you need something built from the ground up for dynamic runtime control. And that is exactly why Margaret explicitly recommends AWS AppConfig. AppConfig handles dynamic runtime behavior just effortlessly. It's got built-in polling, and, this is incredibly important, validation checks. Because the last thing you want is a malformed configuration file accidentally crashing your entire application.
Now, what's really interesting here is how elegantly this is executed under the hood in Timothy's Node.js Lambda function. Step 1, the Lambda asks AppConfig for the flag status. Step 2, if it returns false, the function just ignores the new AI code entirely and runs the legacy engine. But steps 3 and 4, that's where the magic happens. The Lambda caches a config token outside the handler.
By passing that token back on each subsequent invocation, AWS only returns a new JSON payload if the configuration actually changed. It is an incredibly efficient way to poll for updates without just downloading the exact same data over and over again.
Section 4. Empowering Business. Marketing Takes Control.
So, it's 8:59 a.m. on Tuesday. The marketing manager, not Timothy, logs into the AWS AppConfig console. They simply change a toggle called Enable AI Recommendations to True. Within seconds, AppConfig propagates that tiny JSON payload right down to the Lambda function. The if statement evaluates to true, and boom, the feature is live. Notice what is missing from this picture. There are 0 CI/CD pipelines running. There's absolutely no waiting around for canary shifts to finish. The compute layer hasn't changed at all. Literally, only the configuration changed.
And this brilliantly illustrates another massive advantage of AWS AppConfig, gradual rollouts. Marketing doesn't have to just flip the switch and turn it on for everyone all at once. They can do a fractional rollout. They enable the AI engine for just 10% of premium users on Tuesday morning to safely test the waters, while the other 90% continue to see the legacy engine. They are in complete total control of the release radius.
But wait, what about Timothy's other huge fear? What if it's 10 a.m. and customer support is completely underwater because users are confused by the new AI? Well, the solution is an instant emergency rollback. The marketing manager literally just goes back into AppConfig and flips the flag back to false. Within seconds, the feature vanishes from the application. No rollback deployment, no panicked code reversions. Timothy is completely kept out of that incredibly stressful human switchboard loop.
Margaret perfectly sums up the ultimate takeaway from Timothy's 75th architectural evolution with this brilliant quote: "Your infrastructure isn't just resilient, it's dynamically controllable." By decoupling deployment from release, Timothy hasn't just saved his own sanity, he has handed his business team the ultimate power over their own product. They dictate exactly when features go live and exactly who gets to see them.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to really think about and apply to your own workflows. What features are you currently deploying that you should be dark launching instead? If you are still treating deployment and release as the exact same event, it might just be time to build your own master switch. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible DevOps strategy. And hey, keep building!